Who are the top 10 players in the Paige Bueckers era at UConn? You're locked on.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Before we dive into today's show, just want to take a moment to say how thankful we are for all of you. We appreciate all of your support, and we're proud to say we're the only podcast covering the UConn women's and men's basketball, the hoops capital of the world, and we're thrilled to bring you that coverage because you deserve it as loyal fans. To show that gratitude, we're giving back. We're donating 10% of our revenue to Husky Ticket Project, helping send kids to UConn games. If you're enjoying the show, take a moment to subscribe, follow, and leave a review wherever you listen. Thanks again for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. Well, we're going to bring in Bella Tamano, who is my co-host on Mondays and Wednesdays covering the UConn women. And before I do, I want to say that we wanted to do a different show for you today. Typically when there's a UConn women's basketball game, if they were playing Tennessee or South Carolina, we'd be doing a deep dive. We probably got this out even earlier, but instead of that, we're doing a top 10 players that are teammates of, so Paige won't be on this list, the top 10 players in the Paige Bueckers era that she's played with. Just to give you a little bit of a different twist, some content change versus just saying to you, well, I don't know about tonight's game, but Villanova is probably going to lose by 30 or 25. But we're definitely going to still watch the game. We're definitely going to still talk about it tomorrow. But instead of previewing a game that's likely going to happen the way everyone expects it, we thought we'd do something different. So let's get Bella in here. I know she worked hard on this, and I'm excited about what we do with this show today. Bella, welcome into the show. First off, great article on the hoops capital of the world Substack on Aubrey Griffin being back. That was really well done. If you haven't checked that out, check that out there. So talk to me. I came to you with this premise, and you kind of ran with it, and take over the show.
So, like you said, obviously tonight is likely going to be one of those walkover games, and I like switching things up, having some kind of new content that people can more so debate on and give their own takes on too, alongside us in the comments, wherever it may be. So I think today you kind of gave us a great little topic, and today we're going to break down the top 10 players during that Paige Bueckers era. Now let's think about it. Paige Bueckers, kid from Minnesota with a basketball and a dream, turns Naismith College Player of the Year, and the name Paige Bueckers, that name has cemented itself in Storrs. Her number will, without a doubt, be hung up in the rafters. And, she's just purely a beast who turns heads on campus, fills the stands for people trying to get a glimpse of her greatness. And, you see signs up. I've talked about it before. They say they traveled from Finland, 10,000 plus miles to just try to come and see her play. And you look at it, her leadership on the court, coupled with court vision, scoring ability, she's coined the name Paige Buckets. And her time as the Huskies really cannot be quantified in years, but instead, as we called it, the Paige Bueckers Era. And so that's what we're going to do today, is just break down those top 10 players that have played with Paige. And it's not necessarily the way they've created chemistry with Paige. The way I broke down my list was their impact on the team. And obviously their individual accolades along with kind of stats and how they kind of to play with other players during that era. So I think we're going to go down from 10 to 9. We can do it. I'll do 10 and then go from there if you want to do that, or you want me to give my list and I'll give you go yours, or how do you want to do it?
Let's do let's just do it one to one. So like who did you have at 10?
So at my 10, I have none other than Sarah Strong, the freshman phenom. Listen, I get it. It's hard to put her up there, only playing at this point a half a season for the Huskies. But she is going to be great. And when it's all said and done, there's a chance we could call her era for the next 4 years the Sarah Strong era. 6-time Big East Freshman of the Week so far. Geno's comparative to Brianna Stewart multiple times saying that, she's playing the same way that she has. Obviously, he's not going to try to put her on too much of a pedestal because you don't want things to get in her head. The only thing that I see from her game is she lacks a little bit of leadership. But again, she's a freshman. She's nervous, and that's what you'd expect from her. And again, you just can't put her higher on the grading scale because she hasn't been there for a long enough time. But I think she fits great in at this 10 spot. And listen, by the end of the season, she might not only climb the list, but by the end of next season, I think that she could be close to that, definitely top 5, maybe even top 3.
So, you make some good points. I disagree. I think you can put her higher, and I have her higher. I won't tell you where. She's definitely not in my top 5. But I have Aubrey Griffin at 10. And it's mostly for the same reasons why, AZ Fudd, even though she's super talented and I love her to death, she's also not going to be in my top 5 because she's just been hurt. So that's why I have Aubrey there. And, there's really no other discussion. I think Aubrey's going to make a great addition to this year's team by coming back, having not been played, for 381 days. Really cool call out from you on that article. Just super happy for her, and that's the only reason why I think she just, if we're just doing these lists based off of not who they are as people, but just kind of like the playing aspect, then that's why she's 10th on my list.
I like it. I think Aubrey, I also have Aubrey on my list, a little higher up, not too much higher, but we'll get to that as we go. Now, coming in at my number 9 spot, I'm looking at Evina Westbrook, another player who I wish she almost played all 4 years for UConn. I would have loved to see what she would have done with, taking her younger, undergraduate years, freshman and sophomore years with Gino. But the one thing I look at is in Evina Westbrook, she played from 2019 to 2022, junior and senior year. I look at it as she started all 30 games junior year. And I felt like she was a huge presence on defense. Steady, reliable player for the Huskies. And that's the thing. You talk about health for that Aubrey Griffin slot. I have Evina lower on this list. But I do think that she stayed healthy, and that's the biggest thing for the Huskies. Statistically, she wasn't the best player, but at the end of the day, I feel like you could count on her to be healthy and to play in big moments. She was also the 2022 Big East, part of the 2022 Big East All-Tournament team, which, again, is another accolade for her. And I think the standout thing for Evina for me was her ability to connect with younger players on the team. I felt like she had really good leadership qualities. Even as a transfer, she came right in, connected with everybody, and I think her chemistry really showed through that. So that's why I have her at 9 on the list.
You gave me this list. I already had a list, but this is probably one of the only ones that we have. Now, I shouldn't. And maybe we might have similar ones as we get closer to the top 3 or 4. But I also have her at 9. I agree with everything you said. I don't have anything to counter. I think the biggest thing for me is there's a phrase in sports, the best ability is availability, and I think that's what you can say about Evina. And she obviously, that's not anyone's fault. I'm not faulting anybody that gets hurt, but when you get hurt, you just don't get to play, and that makes you lesser than some of the people on the list. I'm going to say my 8th player, and then have you go, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll finish up the top 10 in the second segment. I have Sarah Strong at 8, and it's because I'm of the belief that if Sarah was in a different system than Gino's, and Gino's system is great, don't get me wrong, she would be in the conversation for National Player of the Year because she's that good. I think Gino's system is a little more restrictive. She has so much natural talent, is a 3-level scorer. I think probably the only thing she doesn't do well is handle the ball, but she probably could if she needed to. I just don't. She doesn't have a lot of holes in her game, and I don't think Paige has played with this type of player ever. There's nobody on this list, even though they're very good. Looking at my list, whether it's Nika or AZ, they're all really good players, but no one is as talented as Sarah on this list. Your thoughts?
Without a doubt.
Who do you have at 8?
For my 8, I have Aubrey Griffin. So I think we kind of did a little flip-flop there.
Yep.
I had Sarah at 10. You had Aubrey at 8. I put Aubrey a little bit higher. Not to say that she's necessarily been better than Sarah, like we've said. Obviously, health has been an issue for her, which is why she's much lower on this list. But I think having her out on the court immediately adds, obviously, length and size on both sides of the ball. And her, I alluded to this in my article, she's just that type of player that takes pressure off of other players. It makes somebody like Paige not have to overextend herself. It makes somebody like AZ not have to go out and have an insane night. And if, especially for some younger players like Morgan Shelley, like Allie Zabel, now having Aubrey back in the lineup, they're not going to have to go out and play outside of their means, which is huge, I think. And it doesn't matter if it was this year, if it was last year, if it was the year before, whenever Aubrey Griffin is on the court, that's what she does. And to me, she's kind of like that Dennis Rodman figure to the Bulls. Yes, she's not the best player on the court. At the end of the day, I feel like you need her contributions in order to make a run when it comes down to March. And again, the only reason why she's not higher on this list is because I feel like on paper, she doesn't bring as many accolades to the table and her stats aren't really outrageous. But her on the court gives you so much versatility, so much depth. And that's what I love about her. And that's why she's at my 8.
All right. When we come back, we're going to try to wrap up the top 10 coming up after the break. All right, it's our good friends at Prize Picks. This message is brought to you by Prize Picks, the place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, Prize Picks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or regular season, Prize Picks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all the football action. Now it's playoff time, and there's no better way to get in the action with Prize Picks. Here's how it works. You simply pick more or less. Sometimes you can go just 2 picks to all the way up to 5 or 6 to earn 1,000 times your cash. That's 1,000 times your money just by making a few picks more or less. For me, I'm all about the hot takes. I think we're going to see Jaden Daniels go over 188 yards passing in the NFC Championship game, and I think you're going to see Travis Kelce go for more than 69 and a half receiving yards in the AFC Championship. This is a fun way to predict games. If you don't make them, don't spend that much money. Just make sure you're constantly looking at whether it's more or less. With the app, you get your winnings fast, sometimes in as little as 15 minutes. Ready to run college football ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use code Locked On College to get $50 instantly, and you play your first $5 lineup. That's just $50 just for playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, back on Locked On UConn. Hopefully I got the marbles out of my mouth from that last promo. Bella, if you can unmute your mic because I can't do it on my side, I apologize. There we go. All right, so let's pick up on our top 10 list. Let's see. Who do I have next? I have Dorka Juhas, forward center transferred who added depth to the Huskies front court. She brought experience, rebounding, scoring ability, both inside and from the perimeter. Plus, she was a personality. I love Dorka. She was a really interesting gal. Obviously an international player. Always found her personality, whether she was doing interviews or just kind of the way she interacted with her teammates, was really endearing. And she is my number 7 player on the list.
I agree with you at that slot slightly. I think that I put her a little bit lower. I won't give away too much more on my list. I agree with her. Definitely a lot of fun with her on your bench, and that gives her a lot of points in my book. At my 7, I have Lou Lopez Seneschal. I think I would love again to put her higher. Started all 37 games in her single year with the Huskies. Again, health has been a big issue for the team this year, and it has been in the years past. So starting all 37 games that she was available for and all 37 games of the season, huge plus in my book. She was also second on the team with 15.5 points per game. Another, stat that there's nothing to sneeze at there. And then she scored double digits in 32 out of 37 of those games, which is huge. The production from her was uncanny. And she also led UConn with 44% from 3-point range. Another huge, incredible stat. Almost shooting 50% from the floor. And the only reason why I'd love to put her higher, but again, only playing one year with the Huskies, that impact isn't enough for her to go, sneak into that top 5. But again, I think her standout moment, she scored 25 points in the NCAA tournament in 2023 versus Ohio State. That's a moment where I think she really signified her short legacy from the Huskies. Now I'll transition into my 6, and then we can kind of work back to you, unless you have anything to say about Lou in that 7 slot. But other than that, I have Dorka at my 6, so not too different from there. I really think you hit the nail on the head with what you said about her. Just beloved by fans and teammates. Dorka has been, it feels like she was a Husky for all 4 years, even though she only came for 2 of her years. She almost averaged double-double, 14.9 points, 9.9 rebounds. So again, another stat that's incredible. She had 15 double-doubles in that 22-23 season, and she went 16 in the WNBA draft. So again, that kind of shows her value to the team. I think her senior night kind of really signifies how big of an impact she had on the team, because the emotions were really, really high that night. Because again, she only played 15 for 2 years, but losing her, just her smile, her personality was a big loss for the team as well.
No, I totally agree with that. Obviously, had her a little higher, but we flip-flopped these two, so we're not going to get. I'll just say something quickly about Lou Lopez Seneschal, because I thought she was a super versatile guard forward. She obviously was a good scorer, as you mentioned. Started all 37 games in the lone season. She was a significant contributor, and I think you gave her some good justice. I had her at a little higher than Dorka, but like honestly, again, it's like we're like splitting atoms with this.
Right.
So then I'm gonna jump to my number 5. I have AZ Fudd at 5. I think she was actually, sorry, I have AZ at 4. So why don't you give me your number 5, because I screwed that up.
So no problem. My 5 goes to Olivia Nelson-Ododa. Played all 4 years uniform. She appeared in every single game through her freshman to junior year, which again, I feel like I sound like a broken record here, but healthy players on the court is huge. Playing in a lot of games is huge. And again, number 6 in career blocks with 262. She was the 2021 Big East co-defensive player of the year, and she led the Huskies in rebounds her senior year. Again, I just think her staying healthy, along with just being a solid and reliable player on defense, and a big presence on offense, she earns that 5 spot for me. Again, I think depending on whatever list you have, you can there's a little bit of wiggle room on both sides, but I think a 5 spot kind of right in the middle is a really good placeholder for her.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I also had her at 5, so that's also why I kind of screwed up there and got them mixed up. But I have AZ at 4. I think AZ could be as high as 2 on this list if she stayed healthy, because she's that type of talent. Obviously, everybody knows about her shooting ability, about her, being the number 1 recruit in her class. It really is just about staying healthy for AZ. She's a phenomenal teammate. She's a phenomenal person. She's a great ambassador for UConn women's basketball. I think this year is going to be a big test for her from a mental and physical standpoint, to stay healthy, to stay strong, even if she has a few setbacks. But yeah, I mean, top 4 on this list easily could be top 2. So I don't know who you have at 4. I have a feeling it's probably somebody similar.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're a little telepathy going on here. I have Fudd at my 4 as well. Same thing with you. Would love to put her higher. I think she deserves a higher spot if her career went according to plan. But the one stat that really jumps out to me is a freshman. I mean, she was 3rd on the team with points per game, which again, really good players on that team again. And I think that for her to be in that, 3rd in the rankings for points is huge for her. And I also think she stepped up in big moments when Paige went out. I feel like that was when she played her best. Even when Paige wasn't playing early on in the season, that's when she finally hit the stride that she needed to be great. And ever since, I mean, her, Sarah, and Paige are really that three-headed monster like we talked about. And then real quick, I just want to share a story about Easy Fun. You talk about how incredible she is as a person. I know somebody that works to the basketball team, and during Christmas time, right before the break, she went in with little bags of cookies and gave them to every single staff member in the building. And she even knew the person that was missing, who was my friend. He wasn't there that day, and she said, "Hey, make sure he gets these." And he came in the next day, and that's the type of person that Easy Fun is. And again, that's why it's really hard when she wasn't playing well. Obviously, I know she's coming off injury. It's hard to criticize her because she is just an incredible person before she is anything else. And so, again, if we were talking about nicest people in the building, she's probably at my one slot. But
yeah,
because of injuries, it hurts her. That's the only thing.
All right, we're going to wrap it all up. When we get back from break, we'll get to our top three and then maybe a score prediction on the Villanova game tonight when we return after this. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, communicate more effectively, but finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can challenge, and that's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace is the leading virtual therapy provider, and it makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and most importantly, affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours, and it's convenient. You have sessions from the comfort of your home, even message your therapist between appointments. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans, and for most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize mental health. As a listener to this podcast, you get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter that promo code SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code SPACE80. All right, you're back on Locked On UConn with your host, Mark Zanetto. I have with me, as always, my co-host, Bella Tamano, and Hoops Capital of the World beat reporter, contributor there. Go check out her article on Aubrey Griffin and others that she's already written on that publication. Okay, top three is left, and I have a feeling we don't have that many people left. Let's put it that way of these types of players. So I have a feeling we're going to be pretty similar. Who do you have at number three?
Okay, so at my three, I'm looking at Nika Mule. Nika Mule, similarly to Dorka, always a smile on her face. Everybody loved her, just absolutely adored. And last year, when people knew she wasn't going to come back, when their season was coming to an end, that was what people were talking about. Obviously, the loss was huge to Iowa, but just not having Nika Mule's presence on campus, on the court, was a big loss for them. I think, again, looking at the health-wise, senior year started every single game, was healthy for all the games. And if we talk about playmaking abilities, she is the best. And I'm not just saying that because it's my opinion. I'm saying she is the best all-time in UConn because she has the all-time career assist record, 686, single-season assist record, 284, most double-digit assists games with 17. And then her big standout moment is November 20th, 2022, sets the single game assist record versus NC State with 15 assists in a single game, trumping Sue Bird's past old record. And not only that, I mean, defensively, one of the best defenders Connecticut's ever seen. 22 and 2023 Big East Defensive Player of the Year. I love her. Everybody loves her. Again, her stats speak for herself. Playmaking abilities, but again, just a great personality on and off the court from her.
Yeah, I think I flip-flop between our 2 and 3 because I think we both are going to have the same number 1. So I have Kristen Williams at 3 and Nika at 2. And again, flip a coin on this one. I think Kristen had an amazing senior year. she was more of a scorer than obviously Nika was. But I'm going to tell you why I think Nika was too, and then we can both kind of probably say in unison who we think our number one is, because I think everyone knows by now. But yeah, I think in the 21-22 season, when they lost to South Carolina in the Final Four, she averaged 14.2 points, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, a steal and a half a game. She was the Big East preseason player of the year in 2020. She like Paige kind of has not a star-crossed career, because she at least did not lose a ton of time to injury. She played a lot of games. She just lost a ton of bigger games than she won in her career, and that's what I mean. She's the 14th overall pick in the 22 WNBA draft. I don't think I think she got waived by the Phoenix Mercury at the end of last season. So I don't know if she's getting picked up again to play, but Kristen's she was just a really solid, fantastic player for a really talented Husky squad that fell short in Paige's time here. Yeah. And then I have Nika at 2. And I think you said almost everything there is to say about Nika. I think the only reason why I put Nika at 2 is because a couple like outlier factors, her relationship with Gino, which I think has become kind of cool to watch. I also think too, sometimes recency bias. She was more in the forefront last season. She always took on the big assignments when they had to play better teams, and always tried to guard the best player on that team and get in their grill. All-time assist leader, as you mentioned. So, she's just a phenomenal player.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Like, I think, again, flip a coin, it might go differently. Only reason, just quickly before, I just wanted to say, the only reason I have Kristen Williams at 2 is because she was more of a scorer, and not necessarily by my definition, but just I feel like overall, sometimes, like especially this year, like that scoring piece is really what you search for and what you need. And I mean, she second in average in points for junior and senior year, and I think that is kind of that stat that obviously defense is huge. Defense, wins championships and all that. But I think because she was such a dynamic scorer and had a lot in her bag, that's why I just have her a little bit over Nika. But again, could go either way.
I got you. All right. I think
let's get down to it. Yeah,
we both know who number 1 is. Do you want to say it, or do you want me to?
We can say it. 3, 2, 1. Aaliyah Edwards. We got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead. You tell me why.
I mean, I just think Aaliyah is really that piece to success that if you put her on this year's team, I think they're the number 1 team in the country. Because right now, Jana still hasn't really figured things out. I thought maybe she was going to continue to what she was doing last year. But Aaliyah, her stats speak for herself, but I mean, her presence on the court is incredible. Last year in the Final Four game versus Iowa, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and then a career high 5 steals. Again, that's the thing for her. I feel like if you put her on this team this year, like that's the missing puzzle piece that I think sets us moons above other teams. Obviously, you got your Notre Dames, you have everybody else, South Carolina, but I think Aaliyah Edwards on any team in the country makes them 10 times better. And again, her accolades, I mean, she is 15th in points and all time for UConn. And then she's only the 6th player in program history with 1,800 points and 1,000 rebounds. She went 6th in the draft, which shows her value there. And I mean, again, you can search up all the accolades she has, too many to even list.
You said it best right there. I don't have anything else to add. I think you're right. I think if we had her, she'd be, if you put her and Sarah next to each other, or her and Jana down low as a 5 and a 4, it'd be pretty incredible. Scary. Pretty scary. And I don't think anyone would be saying that Gino was washed or he doesn't know what he's doing anymore. I think that would be so. Sometimes the timing of all of that just doesn't mesh, right? Right. All right, Villanova tonight. What's the score going to be?
Score predictions. I got UConn 84, Villanova 50. That's what I'm looking at tonight. I'm on the call tonight, so hopefully it's a fun one. I'm excited for it, but I want it to be a little close just so it can be a little exciting to call. But other than that, I mean, I don't see it really coming within like I don't know, maybe 30 is a little bit much, but if they can do what they did, even half as good as they did it against Seton Hall, I think it's going to be a tough one for Villanova tonight.
Yeah, they're home. It's Gamble. It's $2 beer night. You're on the call. I think it's a perfect storm for them to win by about 30 or 40 points again. I don't know if it's 60 is going to be the case. I don't expect them to hit 17 threes again tonight.
Not at all.
But if they come close to that, then I think you're going to have you're going to have to figure out something to say other than, the call, because the best announcers always come up with some funny things to say when the game gets out of hand. So
for sure.
I'll be interested to hear if you have to have like a Phil Rizzuto moment. I know you're too young for that, but if you're like, oh, look at this guy in the crowd drinking beers and hot dogs, he spilled it all over himself. So that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Right. The only thing I want to get out of tonight's game is I want to see double digits from either Allie or Morgan.
Ooh,
that's what I want. Like that is my
who's
goal
going to do
tonight.
it in honor of Prize Picks, more or less. I'll give you the number. You tell me more or less. 12 points. Who's having more than 12 points? Morgan or Allie?
I'm gonna go Allie because I feel like they've been giving her a little more opportunities than they have Morgan. I'm going Allie. I'm going Allie Zabel. Book it over 12 points tonight. Again, I think if you're taking, I don't know what the spread is on the game. If you can figure that one out. We can quickly say if we think UConn's going to cover that or not. But
let's see, UConn women versus Villanova. I think it's 24 spread.
I think I take the Huskies to cover that. I think 24 is light for them.
29.5.
29.5. Okay, 29.5.
That's tough. At home though,
I'm gonna say
take it.
$2 beers. Gample's gonna be buzzing. The Huskies, they got Griffin back. Obviously, that first game needs to dust off the cobwebs. Listen, Griffin better put in a dunk tonight or something to give him something going crazy about. But
for sure.
Now, I think that's the goal. Either Morgan or Allie get digits. I'm going with Allie on that, and then they're covering tonight. Book it, parlay it, however you want to do it.
I love it. I'm gonna take Morgan, and we'll do a friendly bet. And next time when I see you in Connecticut, I'll if I lose, I'll buy you like a dinner or something like that, or pay for your food, as Alex said he was going to do for Terrace.
Yeah, they just put in a Bear Smokehouse down at the Union, so
perfect
barbecue. Yeah.
All right, that's been another episode of Locked On UConn. Bella, great topics today. Really appreciate you putting that together. Go have a great call, and as always, you guys got to stay locked in. Go get your $2 beers at Gamble tonight, and it's always go Huskies.